morning, everyone, and welcome to Cast on the Fly. My name is Cassandra Vaynerchuk, and I am here in my backyard doing my podcast for the day. I was walking out here, and I'm like, what are we going to talk about today? And we've been kind of in the mix of the Republican debate with a couple of our politicians. And what came up for me was branding and how politicians are now utilizing the word branding to create buzz around their platform. So a politician now has a platform. And so it's interesting to watch this character named Vivek Ramaswamy, who is not American, but I can definitely hear an accent, and a man who's been educated on how to speak as if he's from America. So when you're listening to Vivek speak, he looks like a child up on stage. A man who can barely hold his own, but is a good performer at it. It's very similar to what we experienced while watching Obama. So a lot of people will flock to the charismatic, soft brown skin, because people like tan. So that's the crazy part about all of this, is y'all all talk about like Black Lives Matter and your skin tone and all these things, of brown skin and stuff, but white people go out to look brown. They get tan. So I want to put that into a perspective. We're talking about brand, but we're also working other areas of existence to tell you that it's all made up. You're making up that story for yourself. It has everything to do with how you are as a person. Moving forward and moving through more conversation around branding when it comes to what we're watching with this Vivek character, is he's jumping off the branding, not necessarily branding, because Donald Trump is 70 something years old and he always had a personality. He didn't really have a brand, but his personality is his brand. So you want to see the evolution of a person being a person as a public figure that now turns into a facade of a person in branding. But then you also want to take a look at how Vivek is trying to, Vivek sees the popularity of what Donald Trump has to offer to his we could call it fan base and followers, but it is his supporters. It's the supporters. What we see is what we see with this Vivek character is him trying to take votes away from Donald Trump. So I want to put this into perspective for you to see how politics works. Meaning you're like, yay, he'll say something about Donald Trump, and you'll all clap, and it gives him the buzz to work harder to steal your votes. See, that's the difference between a real person like DeSantis, who is really out to help people. Now, DeSantis won't be elected in this next election, but my prediction in the future is he will be president one day. So I've discussed this with him in coaching, and I'm not going to keep it a secret to let you all know that I told him that this is his practice run, because when you become a leader of a country, you can't just show up out of the blue. You have to have some sort of it's like working your way up the ladder at a company. You start in the mailroom, and then you become a secretary, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then all of a sudden you know how to do everything, and then you're the CEO of the company. So that's like the conversation when it comes to your platform, is every experience of failure is a success, or can be a success. Meaning when we're reporting that DeSantis this is all branding too. This shows you the dirty side of politics. Don't put out that ad. We don't want anyone showing up. No one shows up because no one knows about it until it's post DeSantis showing up and they go, nobody showed. I'm going to tell you that DeSantis has a lot of support. People would show up if they knew he was going to show up at an ice cream shop. Flipping that is letting you know that he's showing up at an ice cream shop, which is a message to Democrats to say we ain't going to put up with no bull. And that's fine. The difference between red versus blue in this conversation, as I am purple, is that we have ethics, morals, and values over here with the red, with DeSantis and Trump. We have viciousness, no integrity, lack of communication, evil behavior, self-centeredness, egotistical. That's Vivek, and that's Democrats. So you want to see how they're trying to intermingle Democratic viewpoints and personalities now into our well-known sophistication and logics of what Republicans have brought to us as leadership. See, when someone else is in leadership, people don't like it when they can't get to the leadership, but the people who want to be in leadership who can't get there just don't do the work. It has nothing to do with like your race or anything. So then they start working branding, manipulation tactics, creating lies. So you always want to remember that politicians lie. And you want to take a look at in a multidimensional facet. And you're looking at your platform as politics. Because now we're dealing with foreign governments, with leading people, and the ability to control people with no law and order. And that means the people need to wake up. Because when you're on your way to jail after your content creator told you that they were going to give you a free PlayStation, and then you assaulted a police officer, I can guarantee you that that celebrity, that content creator, is not going to bail you out of jail. But that's their brand. That's called self-centered, egotistical branding. Even now, as I'm communicating to you on this conversation, I forgot where I was going with that, but we were talking about politics and how it affects branding. It's a really powerful point, too. We're getting to regroup here. Hold on. That's what happens when you're communicating in a live setting. It's like, even when you're in, because see, a lot of people are in speech mode, or they've said that thing so many times that they don't forget the pathway, which then actually kind of creates a similar question over and over and over again, to where you already know what the person's going to ask. It's the same question this other person asked. So that conversation is asleep versus awake, to advancing, to awake, to advancing, to awake, to advancing, to awake. Grounded in humility, grounded in yourselves, grounded in your own choices, grounded in ethics, morals, and values. Meaning you never waver from conviction for ethics, morals, and values. No matter whether you're a politician or you're a social media influencer, you have one intention, and that is to help others. I remember where I was going with that. We were talking about lying in politics. Now, I'll give a big example. When we're working with foreign governments and you're not able to trust an Australian leader, for example, you can't trust the Australian people. There's some weird energy going on over there. When you can't trust someone, and you've got billions of people in the United States of America, or millions, you don't want to tell a strategy of how you're going to help the world stay safe to people who are running around not able to see clearly. So when you ask in the news media questions that are not, you're in the process of developing it, uncovering it. There's some really nasty energy. There's some really nasty energy out there. So bad, y'all. They're like in their own little world. That's how I release energy too, by the way. You cannot tell the plan when the plan's in the work. So you'll have to tell the news reporter that I don't know, or you'll smidge in a lie. Yeah, this is great. This is great. This is great. This is great. Everything's great. When in reality, you're like, oh God, what the hell are we doing? Or, oh God, I'm actually doing something, but I'm not going to tell you until after. Or if this is so scary and so crazy, I'm never going to tell you until 10 years later when we've really escaped the clearing of this nasty. I really focus right now on the thought around continuous, like, movement of elected officials, because it's good and bad. So you want to take a look at Donald Trump as an example of a good leader in office who did a lot for this country, and then he was only allowed to be in office for 8 years, and he has only done 4 because the last election was stolen from him. And then you have someone like Biden, for example. Imagine if we didn't have limits on leadership with Biden. Imagine if we didn't have leadership with Trump. So it's kind of like a it's all in who it is. She has, even that conversation is kind of multidimensional. It not kind of is, it is multidimensional. Because someone like Donald, who is grounded in business and knows what it's like to run a $1 billion business, can run a country and do it humbly and do it by caring for his employees. That would be the citizens. Because what does a leader do of a country is they have to make sure that there's energy power, there's oil for cars. He has to make sure that he's doing relations with business people across the globe. He has to, there's real work involved. He's got to go to Maui. This is what, if Donald Trump was in office at this time, he's got to go to Maui and assess the situation. Not put FEMA in a 5-star hotel. That is very bad business for the Four Seasons, who allowed FEMA to stay at their property. Not to mention the quality of person that's staying. I know what kind of FEMA people are. And now they've gotten a taste of something they didn't even deserve, and they're going to try to get FEMA to lie on camera about what's going on in Hawaii. So do you see how all the politics are working with the media instead of actually doing the job that needs to get done? Because we're coming into the voting year. Meaning no one actually really wants to go out there and do the work that needs to be done. That goes for social media influencers. See, social media influencers think that it's about sitting here and looking cool and occurring a certain way to get one over on you. Let me get one over on you how I'm in such a great relationship, and I'll post it on my platform, and you'll think I'm so cool. But I'm not going to do anything for you, and there's lots of people doing this. Like, all of them are doing it. Meanwhile, you sit there longingly looking at them as if they're up to something, and you're jealous, and then you're going to try to strive for that. And then you're going to ask them for advice, like call her daddy on a stage when she can barely tie her shoes. So now what you've done for an audience of individuals who have potential to grow into stronger people, to assist others, when the person on the podium is not out to assist others, they're only out to assist their bank accounts, is you've created a pathway of a downfall for society. Social media influencing is now politics. Politics also involves with who's standing on your side, whether it be and that makes no sense. So in the old days, politics was showing off your wife and kids. And I'm sorry, but that ain't fair to those children. They should be able to act like they need to act to grow into the leadership that's going to take on the role of what their parent is. Because legacy does mean your child becomes a part of what you created for them. But you, when you weren't in the spotlight, because we're dealing with a whole new breed of growth for these kids, is they aren't able to make mistakes, which means they're suppressed, which means that they're not able to work out failures and create successes, which actually is growth for them. They huddle in the corner and hide, or they create a manipulative pattern in their existence that creates the downfall of society, because everybody's watching. And we all know that if you're in a good relationship with your parent, you want to make your parent proud. And so it's a new perspective when taking a look at social media influencing along with politics on how we're raising our children in the spotlight, which should actually be illegal. However, you see all sorts of individuals posting their children. For example, the Kardashians is an example of them trying to politic their kids. Making North an example for other kids on how to behave. And she's standing on well, let me just say that there's two kinds of fashion shows. The real ones and the crap ones. And Kim Kardashian produces shit. She's taken out the sophistication and what glamour is to fuel her image and her brand, which is all prostitution. I think North, you were like 5 years old then. Maybe 6, I'm not sure. And she's going, yelling at the top of her lungs, she's screaming, "It's a fashion show, it's a fashion show," or something along those lines in a sarcastic way. And then you see Kim sitting in the audience crying her eyes out. And I'm thinking to myself, are you crying because you're embarrassed, or are you crying because you're proud? Because what she's trying to create as a perspective or perception is that she's crying because she's proud. So you're proud of your daughter who you forced into this position. She doesn't like this. And you're crying in the audience because you're actually embarrassed, but you're pretending to be proud. And now we're watching a disconnect from a mother to a child. Although the mother isn't really a mother, she's still a 17-year-old girl who cares more about her image than she does about her child. So we've all stood there and watched a innocent child named North, who's very intelligent. And she's literally an old soul in a child's body who had to grow up very much like Shirley Temple. No one said anything. Versus separating your family from your business to focus on why you're actually doing business, which is what? To help other people. Why is fashion helpful? It helps people feel confident. It helps people feel attractive. It helps create a sophistication of professionalism if you're in the workplace. It helps you connect with other people. It creates beauty, which creates a good feeling inside. And you can still have all those SEXY feelings and still be humble and professional. You can still be glamorous and professional and sophisticated. And you can be any size and be all those things. If you're healthy. Meaning a 600-pound woman in a fancy outfit is not attractive. Your insecurity is literally on the outside what Kim Kardashian has on the inside. However, now you're going to pretend, and this is all politics, now you're going to pretend that being 600 pounds is the way to go. Then you're going to promote Ozempic. And everybody's going, because losing weight and getting that fat off is very challenging. It's hard work. But if you can embrace the hard work as success, you can do it. However, people like Kim Kardashian and Khloe Kardashian, all they like to do is drink and eat and sit and look cool and act like they're busy. When all they do is hire people to make their product, to make their content. They stage their conversations. They script it. So you want to see how branding and social media is now trying to recreate politics in the form of Vivek, which takes everything out of what we know as the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Star Spangled Banner, everything that we have created as a existence, to evolve it into something that is very, very dark. And it's not equal rights. It's only the rich win. In your eyes, it's the money. And so those people out there who are like rich in joy and happiness, you kind of like oftentimes will sit back and not do the battle because you're already happy in your own selves. I already am doing just fine. Well, I'm sorry, but the world needs you right now. The world needs you to call people out. The world needs you to say, that ain't right. Help thy neighbor. That's just a little tidbit on branding this morning in politics and watching for how people are operating. We even have strategic posts of words, of pictures, of video, to even like cases against Donald Trump are all strategically placed to place warnings secretly. For example, I've been singing on my TikTok platform. Drake tells the chick, take down the music because you weren't licensed and you were paid for that video, so you need to take it down. So she has to take it down. That's a warning, a subliminal warning to me to say, don't use other people's music because now you're going against music industry. So what do? I make another video of me singing, and I forget what song I used. They've now moved Trump's election case to Georgia, which is where I live. A subliminal from the Democratic Party, because I haven't broken any laws. All I've done is educated you on facts. They all know that I am God channel. I am a God channel. I channel God. I am Jesus' lifetime. They all know this for a fact. Meaning they don't like me, but they need me. Because they want to see where this is going. Otherwise, I'd be dead. And that's your Democratic Party. That's why the chef is dead. That's why the nanny is dead. So all things to take into perspective when you decide you want to play with the big dogs. Because if you become famous on these platforms, your life will change and it will not be positive at this time. It is absolutely negative. Not to mention, even when we were in the most positive times of life and you were expanding the awareness game around fame, it's called selling yourself out. Because it's easier to sell out than it is to actually fight against these people. And that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. This is a podcast. Although we don't use a microphone, do we? It's a conversation between me and you you're my guest on the show. I'm like really curious what's going to happen. Let me try this. I'm really curious what's going to happen when someone else steps into the space and I have to and I get to talk to you in real life. And I wonder what the audience is going to think, because when I shift my vision over here to the side, I'm wondering if the audience is going to get jealous. Or I'm wondering if we're going to be able to be in a dynamic of a conversation. Now, you as the listener are listening. You're not involved in the conversation. However, you're feeling part of a conversation. So it's a little different experience of watching me in a conversation with someone else. And that's going to be a learning phase. And that's cool. That's the whole point of all of this. I want to say thank you for joining me this morning. It took like all day yesterday to download yesterday's YouTube video. So my internet wasn't working very good. So hopefully today this video, I don't do any editing on it. Probably in the future I will, because if I'm with Gary or something, I'm probably going to crosstalk. But I want you to know that I'm going to try my best to stay focused on the authentic version where I don't have to still do any editing. I find conversations to be conversations, and this is like old school meets new age. So in the old days, you used to sit on the porch. This is like if Gary were here right now, we'd be sitting on the porch, having coffee in the morning, talking. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. I know, it's so great, isn't it? I love this. I love our little sewing room. It's like so exquisite. Anyways, that's all for now. If you'd like today, I think I'm showing up on Gary Vaynerchuk's platform as Cassandra Vaynerchuk now. I saw my name. I Googled Cassandra. I Googled Gary Vaynerchuk or Gary V, and my video came up. And I don't know, it could just be my video or my page. I'm not really sure. But that's that. That's neither here nor there. I'm excited to continue on this process of empowerment as Miss Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary and Cassandra Vaynerchuk. And I thought to myself, Gary, that my name is super long. It's like, it looks good though, doesn't it? Anyway, this is the way we communicate too, is via television. I hope you all have a really nice day, and I hope that you see something in the conversation that we had in this video to see a forward-moving, forward-thinking, grounded version of ethics, morals, and values that you can bring awareness to what's going on out there, to where you can create a better life for yourself. So you want to start with yourself, and then you can start looking out there. And when you can start from here, you can expand from the inside out, and then you can actually educate people because you'll have experience. Okay, this is the last time I say it. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment if you want, but if you comment, please just leave a question. No opinion, just a question. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for your business. My name is Cassandra Vaynerchuk. With you and a little bit of me, we're changing the internet, whether they like it or not.